Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed your break. We're going to get started with the next part of our session. Okay, so I would like to now invite Professor Talia Fisher to discuss ratifying the re-election of President Porat for an additional term. Please come to the podium.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Esteemed members of the Board of Governors. These are somber and turbulent times for both the State of Israel and our university. The role of president always carries immense responsibility and intricate demands, but this is especially true today. The search committee decided unanimously that Professor Porat embodies the ideal qualities needed for the position of university president. His proven leadership, unwavering commitment to academic excellence, rare talent, inspiring vision, and ability to navigate through storms of complex issues make him perfect to lead our institution. Professor Porat's first term as president commenced with the COVID crisis and concluded with the onset of war. Amidst these tumultuous events, Professor Porat emerged as a guiding light for our campus, showcasing remarkable courage, wisdom, and common sense. Time and again, he earned the trust of the campus community through his exemplary leadership. This is no simple feat, as evidenced by the occurrences in other campuses around the world. I shall briefly survey the selection process. The search committee was comprised of the chairman of the Board of Trustees, the chairman of the Board of Governors, 4 public representatives, and 3 Senate members, of which I am one. 2 prominent lawyers from Herzog Fuchs Neiman, a leading law firm in Israel, sat in all of the committee's meetings and offered legal advice. In its first meeting on December 17th, 2023, the committee established stringent procedures for the selection process that exceed the university's standard regulations. These included a quorum requirement of at least 6 participants with the presence of at least 1 member from the Senate, active outreach to potential candidates, and a decision to interview all of those who wish to present their candidacy, as well as a secret ballot vote. Immediately following the first meeting, ads announcing the search for candidates were placed in the newspaper. These were addressed to both people from within the campus community and outside of it. Subsequently, no one else chose to put forth their candidacy for the role of university president. I wish to emphasize that this fact alone speaks volumes for the high regard and trust held for Professor Porat throughout the campus and outside. The second meeting of the search committee was held on January 4th, 2024. Professor Porat presented his vision for Tel Aviv University, outlining his key achievements, work patterns, and challenges facing the university and the Israeli higher education system in years to come. The committee was especially impressed by the following achievements of the university during Professor Porat's term as president: the formulation of a comprehensive strategic plan for all units of the university, the promotion of interdisciplinary research by establishing multidisciplinary centers, the internationalization efforts, the strengthening of the humanities departments, and the promotion of humanities studies in the science programs. The formation of a new vice president position for equality, diversity, and community, as well as the substantial growth in contributions made to the university. The committee was also impressed by Professor Porat's vision and outlined objectives for his second term, which underscored the university's commitment to remaining a leading academic institution amidst a rapidly changing global landscape and facing both global and local existential challenges. These objectives include expanding infrastructure development in key areas such as biomed, exact sciences, and engineering, as well as further strengthening of the humanities departments through the establishment of an Institute for Advanced Degrees in Humanities and Society. Professor Porat's vision extends also to reinforcing fields related to environmental sustainability, deepening university-industry relationships, and enhancing connections with Israeli society. To encourage faculty engagement beyond research, his proposed initiatives include the establishment of a school for academic leadership, providing incentives and support for staff in managerial roles, and expanding the autonomy of academic units. Lastly, the committee was impressed by the efforts Professor Porat mentioned to bolster administrative staff, ensuring their conditions and well-being across all employment paths. The third meeting, held on January 18th, commenced by elucidating the requisites and hurdles confronting academia in Israel, featuring interviews with notable figures such as the Provost, Professor Mark Steif, and Professor Manuel Trachtenberg. Subsequently, the committee engaged in an insightful conversation with Professor Porat, seeking his perspective on addressing the highlighted challenges. The culmination of the session involved a confidential ballot, resulting in the unanimous selection of Professor Porat by the entire search committee. Following this, Professor Porat's candidacy received unanimous support from the Board of Trustees and was overwhelmingly endorsed by the University Senate with a sweeping vote in his favor. It is an honor to now place the decision in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Talia Fisher. I would now like to invite the president, Professor Ariel.
Yet, we need to ratify it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so formally and not formally, please raise your hand if you agree that Professor Porat will keep leading us for another 5-year term. Now you are welcome. Thank you all.
Now that it's ratified and official, I would like to now invite the president, Professor Ariel Porat, to deliver his address.
Thank you very much. Very moving. Please, light on. No. תדליקו אורות, אמרנו. Okay, זהו. I want to see you. Cannot talk to people that I cannot see, right? It's impossible. Let me start before I talk about the state of the university. Let me make an announcement, or not that I am resigning, not that. But you know, earlier our friend Anita Friedman announced of a $1 million donation to the university, and now there is someone here who has done matching for that. And those are Judy and Stuart Colton. Where are they? So thank you so much. It's really moving, so much needed, and the Coltons are great friends and great supporters of the university. As you know, a little bit more than a year ago, they established the autoimmune disease center, and they supported us in the past for so many years. So thank you so much for this new donation. Let me start by thanking you all for being here with us, especially those people who came from abroad. I always used to say that the state of Israel is the state of the Jewish people, and the Israelis are the current residents. And especially in time of emergency, you know, the contact or the attachment with the Jewish communities around the world becomes stronger. And so it's so important for us that you are here with us. It's important for us, it's important for Israelis more generally. So thank you for that. Let me start by talking about few challenges that the university is facing these days after October 7. So the first challenge, which is the most immediate one, facing these challenges led by Professor Mark Steif, the provost of the university, is our student reservists. You know that, as you already know, there were about 7,000 students of us that were drafted from October 7. Many of them are still doing their duty. And our main mission is to make it possible for them, as much as we can, to complete the academic year. This is a very important mission. It's a national mission, not only at Tel Aviv University, all universities. And for that, we created a plan, as I said, led by the provost, to support them in academic support, like having tutors if necessary, faculty volunteer to give extra hours, and sometimes teaching them one by one. And of course, we also provide them with scholarships. Much of that has been become possible because of your generosity, you, our friends, that donated to our emergency fund. So this is one thing that we are very much concerned about, to make sure that they would be able to complete the academic year. We owe them so much. We would never be able to repay this debt. The minimum we could do is at least to make sure that their future is secured. That's what we are trying to do. So far seems to be successfully, but we'll know for sure at the end of the academic year. The second challenge we are facing is the challenge of the BDS, or combating the BDS. BDS is not a new phenomenon, as you know, and we experienced it before. But nowadays, it became it has two new appearances that we haven't seen before, at least not at the same scope that we see it now. First appearance is that we see that sometimes a university, the whole university, boycott Israeli academia. In the past, what we were familiar with in the past was that Israeli professors would not be invited to conferences, or that their papers, their submissions would not be taken by some journals. But now we see universities, mostly in Europe, that boycott the entire Israeli academia, and it's boycotted by the whole university. In some occasions, it's actually all university in a specific country. So it happened in Spain. Now the two universities changed their policy, and it happened in Netherlands and in Belgium and in other places as well. And we do whatever we can to combat it, to combat the BDS, and but with limited success. It led at the university by Professor Milet Shamir, VC for international academic collaboration. We also established recently entity by the Commission of all university presidents to do it even more professionally, with professionals like full-time people that would work on that. So anyway, this is one appearance that we see the whole university in a specific place, boycott Israeli academia. There is another appearance of boycotts that we haven't seen so much before. Sometimes we have seen it here and there, but now it becomes more common, which is targeting a specific university. So it's not the entire Israeli academia, and it's not only in order to create pressure upon the government, it's like targeting a university, arguing that that specific university committing, say, apartheid. So it's not the state of Israel, it's the university committing apartheid. Right, so let me give you one example to illustrate what I'm talking about. So in one university, at Rutgers University in New Jersey, a letter has been distributed among students by a pro-Palestinian organization arguing that Tel Aviv University commits apartheid, not Israel, Tel Aviv University, and additionally, that Tel Aviv University holds bodies of Palestinians, refusing to release them for burial. You know, yeah, hard to believe. I agree. And, you know, these are like the blood libels of the Middle Ages, right? Those blood libels that Jews use blood of Christian babies in order to bake matzot. And, you know, it could have been funny, but it is not, because there are people who believe to this kind of blood libel. So the BDS, as I said, this is the second challenge we are facing together with other universities. The third challenge is about releasing the tension on the campus between Jews and Arabs. You know, it's, the academic year has been postponed by 2.5 months, so we had some time to prepare for the opening of the academic year. We had done a lot of preparations led by Professor Neta Ziv, my VP for Equality, Diversity and Community, and of course also with the Dean of Student and the Provost and the Vice Provost and others. And I could say quite satisfactorily that at the moment, I could say that from October 8 until now, there was not even a single case of incitement or violence on campus, even not a single case. When you look at what you can see in some American campuses, I'm sure that you will be able to appreciate this achievement, and we hope that it would continue to be in the same way. The fourth and last challenge I would like to mention is about bringing back Israelis, well, not only Israelis, but mostly Israelis studying abroad, doing their PhD or postdoc studies. You know, it's always a competition to bring them back, regardless of the war. It's always a challenge. You need to compete with Stanford and MIT and Harvard. We cannot compete over salaries. Also, salaries in Israel are regulated. We can compete with them, first of all, people that really want to live here. Additionally, by providing them with working conditions that would be good enough for them to do their work here in Israel. These days, it becomes much more challenging. Israel, unfortunately, at the moment, is not a very attractive place to be in. It is true that at the same time, because of anti-Semitism, some people, also Israelis, feel some discomfort in places that they haven't felt so in the past. Still, the unattractiveness of Israel, that I believe and want to believe that it's just temporary, but still a situation we are facing now. So that creates a challenge, a huge challenge for us. We need a lot of resources for that, and we are doing our best to keep the Israeli academia and Tel Aviv University strong. But, you know, let me say in general, you know, I think that now we know more than ever how much important strong Israeli academia for the future of Israel. The Israeli academia is a central part of the foundation of Israel. Look at what happened just a few weeks ago when there was this Iranian attack on Israel, and look how Israel succeeded quite amazingly to defend itself from such an attack. That would not have been possible but for the technology that has been developed by people coming from universities in Israel. It's an Israeli technology. You know, Israel being startup nation, it's because of universities. It's because of Tel Aviv University, it's because of other universities, and this is something that we should keep in mind. So if you think about the future of Israel, if you care about the future of Israel, one way to support Israel is through strengthening universities. This is our future. Okay, so let me say a few words about donations. So, in a minute, we'll see a video clip about the donations that have been received, but let me say a few words before that. So, the clip that you will see is about donations that have been received in last year. All of them are $1 million and above. It's important for me to say that donations, any donation, is extremely important for us. A $10,000 donation could change people's life. Think about a student from the periphery that by $10,000 per year, he would or she would be able to study here at Tel Aviv University. Otherwise, he or she wouldn't be able to do so. So it's not just about the 1 million or 10 million or whatever, which are of course very important, but also relatively small. It's not so small. 10,000 is a lot of money, at least for me, even $1,000. But any donation is so highly appreciated, so important. And I want to thank so many people sitting here that have afforded, that have done for us so much with large donations, with smaller donations. All those are really appreciated. So let's see now the clip of the new donations received by Tel Aviv University, $1 million and above in the last year. First clip, please.
New projects since Board of Governors 2023. Projects, $1 million and above. Faculty Recruitment Fund. Sylvan Adams Family Foundation. Emergency Fund. Blavatnik Family Foundation. Future of Russia Research Initiative, several donors. Charles, Evelyn, and Sandra Dolansky, Research and Treatment Program for Suicide Prevention. Renewal of Varda and Boaz Datan Research Center for Hemato Oncology Research. Drimmer Fischler Family Stem Cell Core Laboratory for Regenerative Medicine. Krigsner Initiative for Disease Research. Sieratsky Institute for Advances in Neuroscience. Selwyn Cameron Laboratory. Winwine Zweig Family Atrium. Founding support for Center for Applied Research on Risks to Democracy, Anonymous. Support for medical research of Professor Ilan Sarfati, Anonymous. Projects, $5 million and above. Al Rov Center for Digital Medicine, Alfred Akirov. Renewal of Alfstein Family Center for the Prevention and Treatment of Parkinson's Disease. Ehud Barak Center for Leadership. Founding donors, Michal and Avraham Kadar, Martin Davis, and Frank Lowy. Projects, $10 million and above. Jan Koum Center for Nanoscience and Nanotechnology. Leona M. and Harry B. Helmsley Medical Simulation Center. Thank you.
Thank you. So in the last years until October 7, in the few years before October 7, we were, I would say, very successful with donations. There was an increase of 10% comparing to other years. This year seems to be quite okay too, but we're still at the middle of the year. But I believe that we would be in the same level of success also this time. Let me say one more word about, not exactly about donations, something related. About a year ago, the Sackler family generously decided to remove the name of their family from the Faculty of Medical and Health Sciences and from the medical school. They had done it out of generosity to Tel Aviv University, understanding that it might be a kind of a burden, but also in order to provide us with an opportunity to raise funds for renaming those two extremely prestigious units of the university. So just to let you know that there are two naming of opportunities that I believe are the most attractive one in the country, really. Like fantastic faculty of medical, and the dean is here, right? Would you agree with me, Karen, that this is quite a good faculty of? Yeah. So you see, there is an agreement here. Okay, I'm going to talk now about, very briefly, about 4 topics. 3 of them are, usually every year I talk about 3 main goals of the universities, which is the international aspect of the university, the multidisciplinarity, the ties with the industry and the hospitals affiliated to us, and this time I would also talk about academic response to the challenges in Israel, of the Israeli society. Let me start with the international aspect of the university. So you know that less than 2 years ago, we established the Lowy International School led by Professor Milet Shamir, my VP for International Collaborations. The very generous donation that we got from Lowy family allowed us to accelerate a lot of initiatives, opening new international programs, bringing more international students, more student exchange, establishing more relationship between schools at Tel Aviv University with parallel units in other places in the world and so on. But October 7, as you could imagine, also here it's a kind of a disruptive event, and we adjusted to the new circumstances by actually making 3 main steps that I would briefly mention. The first one is we launched a campaign for bringing students from Jewish communities around the world in the face of this surge of anti-Semitism that many of you, unfortunately, are facing in your own countries. And so we encourage and still encouraging students to come to Israel, to be here with us, to study at the fantastic programs that we could offer. The second thing is, because of the BDS, which created a new challenge for us, we have strengthened relationship with partner universities that we are working with them in order to, combat anti-Semitism with a limited success. We hope to do more, but I'm also glad to tell you that at least in the United States, there is no any program that we have with an American university that has been stopped, including the one with Columbia University. You know, we have a very important program with Columbia University on liberal arts and entrepreneurship and life science. A few weeks or about a month after October 7, I got some people approach me and say, maybe you, Tel Aviv University, should disconnect your relationship with this university because of, you know, what happened in the Columbia campuses. And of course, my reaction was exactly the opposite, because that's exactly what our enemies want us to do, right? They want us to leave US campuses, but we don't want to do so just because our enemies want us to do it. And so this program and all other programs with universities in the United States are continue, and also with in other places as well, with some exceptions in some European programs, and I hope that that would also be changed in a short while. The third and last point or initiative I would like to mention about the international school, or the international aspect of the university, is that we are launching a new program, a gap year program. We used to have a gap program, but this time we extended it for focusing on Israel and the Middle East. So students, so if you have either children or grandchildren or friends that have an interest to come to Israel, like for a gap year, like before college, please encourage them to come to Tel Aviv University. They won't regret it. So this is about the international aspect of the university. Let me talk now about multidisciplinarity. Just a reminder, part of the, there is a goal of the university to increase multidisciplinarity. We are the most comprehensive university in Israel. All fields of knowledge exist here, and we try to get an added value from this multidisciplinary characteristic of the university. So we have established numerous centers, 5 centers until October 7, and we now, or couple of months ago, we established a new center, a new multidisciplinary center, which is about the risk of democracy. I'm going to talk about this specific center in a few minutes, because it also relates to the fourth topic I'm going to talk to. So let me now just talk about one specific project, which is still under construction or in progress, because it still hadn't got the approval of the University Senate, and everything academic should get the approval of the Senate, so it's under construction. And this is a school for environment and sustainability. So we know that Tel Aviv University, there are a lot of excellence centers or places, in many fields, but one of them is environment and sustainability. So to mention just a few of those centers of excellence, one is the Steinert Museum of Natural History. It's not only a wonderful museum, it's also a huge infrastructure for research. And there is the Porter School, of course, that everybody knows here, the Porter School of Environment. And there is the Yehuda Naftali Botanic Garden, and there is the Zoological Garden. And there are, of course, at the Faculty of Life Sciences, the School of Zoology, and the School of Plants and Food Security. And there are many other places in social sciences, in law, and everywhere, in humanities. In each and every place, there are people working on environment, sustainability, climate change, and so on. So what we want to do now is to create a kind of a virtual umbrella for all those areas. And when you speak about environment or climate change, sometimes we make this distinction between mitigation and adaptation. Mitigation meaning, like with climate change, somehow to slow down global warming. And adjustment is about how to adjust the global warming given that it would not be stopped, right? So that's two main segments or two main topics under environment and climate change. Now, when it's about mitigation, as you could imagine, it's more relevant to big countries, because those who could really affect, like slowing down global warming, are the big countries. It's not that it shouldn't be also relevant to Israel, because we are all parts of the global community, but it's, in a way, it's more important and more critical with respect to big countries. As to adjustment, it's totally different. It's relevant to everybody, including small countries, because we need to adjust ourselves to the changing circumstances and to be prepared for that. Now, the school that we are about to establish, of course, under the approval of the University Senate, would focus more on adjustment. Of course, it would also deal with mitigation, but mostly on adjustment. So let's see now a clip that Noga Kornfeld-Shore, the one who was appointed by the provost and myself to lead this new school, tell us more about the school we are going to have at Tel Aviv University. It's going to be an independent school under the leadership of the university. Like the other independent school that we have is the Sagol School for Neuroscience. So this is going to be the second independent school at the university once approved by the Senate. Please.
Humans are pushing life support systems to their limit. Climate change, water pollution, environmental pollution, biodiversity loss are all interconnected and negatively affect our health and our well-being. We are at a critical point in time where we can still change things for the good. And harnessing academic knowledge for addressing these environmental challenges is key for producing a better future for us, for the area, and for the world. Israel can serve as a beta site for environmental research for researchers in Israel, but also around the world. In a very small area, you can find very different climatic conditions, and you can test your innovation and ideas in different climatic conditions in a very short distance. Tel Aviv University is well positioned to become a leading hub nationally and internationally in the field of environmental studies. It has the largest number of researchers interested in different dimensions of the environment virtually on every unit in the campus. It is also the only university in Israel and only one of a handful in the world to have such a variety of units, labs, infrastructures, facilities that are related to environmental studies, including the the Steinhardt Natural History Museum, the Institution for Crops Improvement, the Zoological and Botanical Research Gardens, the Legal Clinic for Environmental Studies, the Climate Change Initiative, and more. The idea is not to replace all these units, but to unite them under one virtual roof. The school will promote the transfer of scientific knowledge from the academia to decision makers, educators, and the general public. As chief scientist of the Israeli Ministry of Environmental Protection, I saw firsthand the critical importance of bringing together great minds in order to produce knowledge that can be translated into policy and action. And this is what we're trying to do here in this new school. I'm optimistic that we still have the chance to change things for better for Israel and for the world, and through this school we will.
The third topic I want to briefly discuss with you is the deepening the ties with the industry and the hospitals affiliated to us. Remind you, three main goals. The first I was talking about was the international aspect of the university. The second is multidisciplinarity. And now about ties with the industry and the hospitals affiliated to us. David Mendelovich, Professor David Mendelovich, sitting here, is one responsible, working on that specific issue together with me and others. During the years, we have deepened relationship with the industry. We work with many companies in different fields. I won't go into it in details now. Just mention two new projects. So one is Al-Rob Center, a new center for digital health. It will be inaugurated on Friday noon. And that center is together with the Soraski Medical Center, or known as Ichilov, together with Tel Aviv University. The idea is to take clinicians and researchers from the hospital working together with professors from Tel Aviv University, either from the Faculty of Medical and Health Sciences, Faculty of Life Science, but also bioengineering and bioinformatics and the AI and data science and computer science. And generally working on data and medical records existing at hospitals and bringing research that combines the abilities that we have at the university with what the hospital could provide for us. Now, digital health mainly could work, say, for diagnosing diseases much earlier. And as you know, in many occasions, if you diagnose a disease at an early stage, the chances of cure and recovery is much higher. It's also about precision medicine. So once somebody has a disease and you need to decide how to treat it, it might change from one person to another. So all these kind of issues would be dealt at that very important new center. Generally, there is a strategy of the university to establish centers inside, with collaboration with hospitals affiliated to us. A few years ago, we established the Colton Center for Autoimmune Diseases. There is the Sagol Regenerative Medicine that we established together mostly with Sheba Hospital, and there is the Dotan Center for Gene Therapy, and there are more, and there would be more. Another initiative is with the largest HMO in Israel, and probably one of the three top HMOs in the world, which is Kupat Cholim Klalit. This is an HMO, which the largest in Israel, of course. It has about 4 million patients. And we reached an agreement with them. Trust me, it's not easy to reach an agreement with them. We worked very hard to get this agreement done. They have a vast amount of data, like big data of half of the Israelis from the minute you were born until, well, I don't want to say until you die, but until you are an adult, a huge amount of information. And here too, by using the tools of our researchers from the same faculties that I've already mentioned, but with an emphasis on people working on bioinformatics and computer science, AI and data science. They use a huge potential here, and we are looking forward to develop it even more. So these are two new projects. Let me talk now about the fourth and last topic I want to talk to you, which is about the academic challenges, or not exactly academic challenges, but academic response of Tel Aviv University to Israeli society and the challenges that Israeli society is facing, not only from October 7, but actually a year earlier. So as you know, as you have seen in the video clip that has been presented here about an hour ago, we established a new post-trauma center here on campus. It was a response, of course, to the war, to the October 7 disaster and the war which follows. We planned to have such a center in about 2 years, but immediately after October 7, we decided to accelerate the establishment of this center, and we had done it very quickly. So January 1st, the center starts operating here. It has research part. It has clinics on campus. So the total capacity of this center is about 1,000 people being treated annually. It's, in my view, as far as I know, maybe the biggest one in Israel, definitely the best one. And, unfortunately, Israel is going to be still, unfortunately, I wish it wasn't that way, a kind of a superpower in treating post-trauma. So many people, well, in a way, all of us are post-traumatic in a way, but there are those who are even more post-traumatic. And also here, if you start treating early, the chances of recovery is much higher, and Tel Aviv University is a major partner in the national effort to deal with this huge challenge of the Israeli society. Another area in which the university responded is through the program that we established, the center that we established a little bit more than a year ago, which is the Mayor's Leadership Program, the Bloomberg Sagol Mayor's Leadership Program. Just for those of you who do not remember or are not aware of that, we established a program with Mike Bloomberg and the Sagol family. Every year, 20 mayors studying at that program. The first cohort of mayors graduated just a couple of months ago, and a few weeks ago, we started the new cohort of, we started another year with, again, 20 mayors. Now, interestingly, after October 7, that program became a connection for the university with some of the municipalities in the Gaza envelope and other areas that have been affected by the war and by the atrocities of October 7. And interestingly, Mike Bloomberg, I believe because of the program, not as part of the program, but his relationship with Israel started with this program, decided just recently, a few weeks ago, to donate a lot of money to municipalities, both on the south and the north. And even though it is not done by it or through Tel Aviv University, I think we would be a kind of partners in a way to help it work well. Last initiative that is also a response to to a very special situation of Israeli society relates to the year that we had before October 7, which is the legal reform issue. As you know, there was a legal reform that the government has tried to pursue, and there was opposition from the university and from other places, and it was a really very, very big issue, a huge social crisis in Israel. And what we learned from that crisis, that there is a huge mistrust between different groups in Israeli society. There is a huge mistrust between different branches, like legislators, judiciary, and so on. So whatever your view is, whether you are for the legal reform or against the legal reform, everybody, I would say, agree that we have a problem, like a risk to democracy. Whatever you look at it, this is about that. So we established a new center about risk to democracy. Let's see a clip about that center, please.
Well, the challenge to democracy in Israel is that democracy in Israel is fragile from the get-go. And there is an ongoing crisis of trust between different groups within Israeli society. And they don't trust who is claiming to be representing them. So we need to find new tools to ensure trust and to bolster democracy against detractors. We at Tel Aviv University decided to set up this new center on applied research on risk to democracy because we feel that this is our commitment towards Israeli society and Israeli democracy and Israel's heritage. The idea of the new center is that we need to study the ongoing and developing risk to democracy and to find solutions to them. It's focused on the outcomes, focused on intervention in society.
We define the research center as a hub. Within this hub, we will have various labs. Every lab will have a topic, will have a question. These questions will develop across time. This is research that also looks to be very interdisciplinary. It really brings all this experience into the research, and then it looks to then bring our findings back into society.
With this amazing team of committed, innovative scholars that we have here, we can really identify problems, identify solutions, and try to make them happen.
What we want to do in the center is to create a better reality in Israel. Israel is unfortunately a very good case study of the crisis of democracy. The crisis is not only ours, it is a global crisis. And we want to be able to be a good case study of how to repair it.
My hope for the new center is that we are able to make a difference. We are able to produce new and innovative insights on how to protect democracy and maintain trust in its institutions.
I'm optimistic about people coming together, thinking together, reimagining Israel.
A year ago, we celebrated here the 75th anniversary of Israel. In that, when I presented the State of the University a year ago, I concluded by saying that everything which is good in Israel is reflected this way or another in Tel Aviv University. And I also added that Tel Aviv University is part or a partner in creating this good. This time, I think I would say that Tel Aviv University is going to be a very major partner in rebuilding Israel, rebuilding Israeli society. And as I've said at the beginning, if you want to strengthen Israel, you could do it in many ways. One very important way is to strengthen academia. This is really extremely important. Let me conclude by a few thanks. So first of all, I want to thank Mark Steif, the provost, a very close friend and a great partner. He's running the academic part of the university. I want to thank another good friend of mine, Gadi Frank, the director, unbelievable director general of the university, running the administrative part of the university. Of course, I want to thank Daphna Mitar Nechmad, great partner and friend. I want to thank my 4 vice presidents. I think last year it was 3, or no, I think last year it was already, yeah, we added one, right? So these are Amos Elad, that you know, Vice President for Resource Development, Professor Milet Shamir, my VP for International Academic Collaboration, Professor Neta Ziv, the Vice President for Equality, Diversity, and Community, and Professor Dan Peer, but sometimes he is called for some reason Peer, but Peer, Vice President for Research. And of course, I want to thank maybe most of, the deans, the wonderful deans that we have. Without the deans, without the head of the schools, leadership could do nothing, So there are many of them, almost all of them, I think, are here. Somebody mentioned before that out of 9 deans, we have 4 women running faculties. But in fact, the real number is 6 out of 11, because in addition to the deans running the faculties, the 9 faculties, there are 2 additional deans. One is the dean, here is she, Liat Kishon Rabin, the dean of innovative teaching and learning, and there is the dean of for students, for success of students, which is Drorit Neumann. So altogether, out of 11 deans, 6 are women. And as you see, also vice president, out of 4, 2 are women, and well, we are we are in the right direction, I believe. And of course, last but not least, I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. I want to thank the people working with me as closely. First of all, my Chief of Staff, Iris. I don't see, where is she? Iris London. My former Chief of Staff, I think she's also here. Ronnie, where are you, Ronnie? Are you here? Ronnie Goldstein. Ronnie, oh yeah, Ronnie Goldstein. She was promoted to be the Director General of the Sylvan Adams Sports Center. And of course, Yael Tsarfati and Sharon Wiesel, who are working at my office, very good friends and so supportive, and even in especially in difficult times. So thank you all again. Thanks for being here with us. And I am looking forward to talking with you and discussing various issues in the next few days. Thank you.
If it's okay with you, President Porat, we're going to take a few questions from the audience. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and you will get a microphone brought over to you.
Yes, please, Selena. Yeah.
Hi, I have two questions. First of all, for the assistance you're giving to the miluimnikim that are students, what about their wives who are left here, who are also students and have families?
We also support students who are spouses of people who have done miluim. And and the support is, I think it has been mentioned in the video clip, we were the first university in Israel that really a couple of weeks after October 7, we wired money to all reservists, like regardless of need, just wired scholarship. We had done it again and again. We also provided more generous scholarships according to needs. And as I've said, it's not only to students who served in the military, but also to spouses and that have children, etc.
Second question was regarding the impact of BDS on your projects with Europe, but not with Italy, sorry. Specifically, there was the project in Florence, but also all the research centers and how their research, they have joint research projects in Italy and Europe. How are those been impacted?
Yeah, in Italy and Europe, the effect of the BDS is mostly on specific individuals, many individuals, faculty, that have found it harder in all kinds of activities to be involved in. With the specific Florence issue, those of you who do not remember, we are working on having a center of Tel Aviv University in Florence. It is true that now we decided to wait a little bit because the atmosphere is not perfect for that, but I believe that soon, maybe after the war is over, it would be possible to renew these efforts. Yes, other questions, please. Yes.
I wanted to find out if there's a way to have legal action taken against the BDS or the leaders, or for discrimination, for breach of contracts, for everything that you can think of. I mean.
Yeah, good, thank you. Asking legal questions is always good. I feel more when Yeah, so it's, of course, it's complicated because generally if somebody says you don't want to interact with a specific university, it's really hard to target it through a lawsuit, even though sometimes it might be possible in a way. I'm not sure that that would be the right way to go as a strategy, but let me give you a more general answer. I've mentioned that we are now establishing a new entity by all universities, and that's exactly the point, to have lawyers, people, from communication and other people that would be able to deal with it more professionally, maybe sometimes even with the aid of the law. Yeah.
Last question.
We have time for just one more question.
Yeah.
One question.
Yeah.
For you, Dr. Porat, it's what I mentioned to you in Toronto. I think this is an important issue. Dr. Friedman talked about Solomon. I want to talk about the Kotzker Rebbe.
About?
The Kotzker Rebbe. And the Kotzker Rebbe said he wanted to sum up Judaism in one word, and that's the truth. And the truth is now that the front lines of the war is in front of my house in downtown Toronto. 1 mile away is a university in the north.
I know.
2 other universities are half a mile away, and they're now war zones. And so the question is, what should we in the diaspora do to solve that problem? My solution, and the group that I've followed, is to set up direct action groups. We now have a war room because we discovered, for instance, that when you do a survey in Canada, we're one of the most anti-Semitic democratic countries in the world. Why? Because the sector from 18 to 36, men and women, believe, 50% of them or more believe that Israel shouldn't exist. Shouldn't exist. So the war is in our front yards. And I have a challenge and a solution, which I've given to you, which I hope that Tel Aviv University will set up a 3-day course for people in the diaspora, leaders, to teach them how to deal with direct action. Let me give you 3 examples.
Yeah.
We've set up a war room. We've set a war room up in Canada to deal with the internet. We set up outreaches to the black community, to the Catholic community, to the women's community, to the student community, and now we're doing it with the armed forces, who are all pretty well on side. The leadership is. So the question is, I would hope that the university will set up a 3-day course, and I'm prepared to contribute to that, to set up a course to teach leaders in the diaspora direct action. Not talk, direct action.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Let me just respond. It's a great initiative, and thank you very much for suggesting and also offering, helping and contributing. Just want to say that we had, we are exactly as I've said at the beginning, that for the Jewish people in the diaspora, the state of Israel is also there. We also care very much about what's going on in other places, and with anti-Semitism, it's also our business. It's not only your business, right, in the sense that we are partners. We are partners in combating anti-Semitism. No question about that. And as you know, the BDS and anti-Semitism, even though they are not always equivalent, still it's kind of a different appearances of the same phenomenon sometimes. So what we had in mind is to start to, actually I had a discussion with that with the head of the ADL, Jonathan Gimblat. I'm sorry for that. So we talked with him about the idea very similar to yours, which is to have a course here at Tel Aviv University. You say 3 days, it could be 3 weeks. We could discuss the length. And the idea is that people from the diaspora, like professionals, people who want to be professionals in their own communities to combat anti-Semitism, right, would come to Tel Aviv University, say, for a few weeks, get the background necessary for that, in different fields. The university is rich of fields which are relevant to that. And that would be a great international program that I would be very happy to take forward. I can tell you that we had a specific donor, I wouldn't mention her name, that wanted to help us with that. For some personal reasons, she decided to withdraw, but we would be very happy to do so once we have the resources. And yes, great idea. Okay. So again, thank you very much, and thank you for confirming my new term as the president. I will do whatever I can to prove you that you haven't made a mistake here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, and congratulations on your next term. Before you go, please just have a seat for one more moment. Before we end this session, I just want to draw your attention to what's up next on our schedule after a short break. We have an opportunity to tour some of Tau's most cutting-edge labs. Each of you will get to visit 2 labs. So how is this going to work? Well, if you look at the back of your name tag, you will see a number. This number represents your group for the lab tour, and as you exit the auditorium, please grab a drink, and you will see group leaders holding signs with their group number waiting for you. Please find your group leader and stay with him or her for the entire tour. We promise you will see new and exciting things you have never seen before. No less important, when you get back from the tour, you are all invited to a special lunch celebration marking the re-election of President Porat. And after lunch, you are all invited to attend the Gandel Forum, one of our most popular Board of Governors events, which addresses the latest ongoings in the Middle East. In wake of the October 7th attacks and the ensuing war, the forum is more relevant than ever. This has been a wonderful session. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy the lab tour.